I chose to research PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, and how it correlates to wellness. There are 5 different elements of social wellness: affection, communication, honesty, interaction with others, and loyalty. These are all very important in promoting social wellness. Social wellness is important. It's how we communicate effectively and honestly. It's also how we interact with others around us. If our social wellness is not up to par, we could suffer from self-esteem issues or drug and alcohol dependence. Social norms tell us what to do and what not to do. They are socially shared and they influence our behavior. We make decisions every day and act based on how social norms dictate our social environments. These may influence major life decisions, such as how we treat people, what career path we want to take, how to vote, and when and whom to marry. The American Psychological Association provides news articles, books, and other resources for people and their families affected by PTSD. The National Center for PTSD works to raise awareness. June 27th is considered National PTSD Awareness Day, and June is PTSD Awareness Month. The National Center for PTSD also provides mobile applications, videos, printed materials, and other online resources to educate and assist the survivors. I came across 2 different valuable mobile applications while doing my research. The first one is called PTSD Coach. This was developed by the National Center for PTSD and has been downloaded in 74 different countries. It provides reliable information about PTSD and the different treatment options available. It also has different tools for screening and tracking symptoms. It provides links for support and help, and it is also very convenient. The second application I came across is called Talkspace. It's a fairly new mobile application, and it has been seen in TV commercials. Talkspace is an online therapy tool, or e-therapy. This app utilizes texting, video chatting, and voice messaging with professional trained therapists. Studies have proven that e-therapy is as viable as it would be in an in-office setting. When most people think about PTSD, veterans come to mind. Like many Americans, I was unaware that PTSD affects more than just veterans. It can affect anyone who has faced a trauma, whether this be an assault, sexual abuse, or rape. Around 7 or 8 out of every 100 people experience PTSD. At least 1 out of every 10 men have suffered from PTSD as a result of sexual abuse. There are 4 different kinds of PTSD symptoms. Number 1 is re-experiencing symptoms. This could come in the form of nightmares, flashbacks, or certain triggers that could be sensed by what you see, hear, or smell. The second type is avoiding situations that remind you of the symptoms. This could involve avoiding people, places, or things that remind you of the event. It could also involve hiding from others, avoiding friends, or loss of interest in activities that were previously enjoyed. Number 3, negative changes in beliefs and feelings. You can forget about the parts of the event or just not want to talk about the event. You can have issues trusting people, and you can also have control issues. The 4th type is hyperarousal. Difficulty sleeping, difficulty concentrating, an exaggerated startle response, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and an obsession with need to ensure safety. Childhood sexual abuse can be very hard to detect. Researchers estimate that in our country, about 1 out of every 6 boys and 1 out of every 4 girls is sexually abused. Of these, 3 out of 10 of those abused children are abused by members of their family. And only about 1 out of 10 cases, the abuser is a stranger. There are long-term effects from sexual abuse in a childhood: PTSD and anxiety, depression, sexual anxiety and disorders, difficulty setting safe limits, and relationship problems. These children can also have poor body image and low self-esteem, and can engage in unhealthy behaviors such as alcohol, drugs, self-harm, or eating problems. Those suffering from PTSD often have trouble with close relationships. PTSD symptoms may cause trouble with trust, closeness, communication, and problem solving. 5 to 10% of those who develop PTSD may have lasting relationship problems. They may have less interest in social or sexual activities and may not be able to relax or be intimate. Usually, there is an increased need to protect their loved ones. Survivors often struggle with intense anger and impulses. They may push away or find fault with loved ones and friends. Drinking and drug problems can be an attempt to cope with PTSD and can destroy intimacy and friendships. Partners, friends, or family members may feel hurt, cut off, or down because the survivor has not been able to get over the trauma. Living with someone who has PTSD can sometimes lead the partner to have the same feelings of having been through the trauma. In some, a person who goes through a trauma may have certain common reactions. These reactions affect the people around the survivor. There are 3 main symptoms related to sexual trauma in boys and men with PTSD. First one would be emotional disorders. Second, substance abuse. And third would be risk-taking behavior. These men also often have trouble establishing social boundaries. It is hard to let somebody get close to them when they've been hurt over and over. Many boys experience behavioral issues. They can lead to risk-taking behavior during adolescence, such as running away and other delinquent behaviors. They also show a disrespect toward authority, as they are the ones that were supposed to protect them, and they didn't. Those suffering from PTSD often suffer from depression and fear. Depression can affect every aspect of life, including relationships and jobs. These people are always on guard and have a hard time trusting anyone. They are obsessed with the safety of themselves and those around them. Those who suffer from PTSD need patience and acceptance. They need to be understood and know what is happening and why. I chose to do research on this topic as it affects somebody very close to me. My boyfriend was sexually abused when he was younger by his father for 13 years. He was misdiagnosed as a child with ADHD and has never properly been treated for PTSD. Recently, I made him go to a therapist, and that is when we figured out that he was suffering from PTSD. He now knows this has nothing to do with him and it's not his fault, and he has come to terms and is learning how to cope with it. It has been a very long process and will continue to be so. In the future, hopefully there will be more treatment options than there are now. Now, all we have is therapy and different drugs. I hope that there's going to be an increase in awareness as it's becoming more and more popular, and hopefully there's going to be more help for those who suffer.